Hello, everybody. My name is Janine. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Fly in the Coop. If you are new here, guess what? So am I. So welcome. This is my second video. So if you like what you see, hit subscribe, hit notifications, and the next time I make a video, which I'm hoping to do one every week, you'll be the first to find out. Today's topic is what are you going to feed your kids? So in my last video, I talked about how my husband and I treated our son's ADHD and autism symptoms with diet and all the great things that came out of that. So I did give kind of a detailed way of how we integrated that because, as you know, children who are autistic, looks like I have a crazy hair flying there. Children who are autistic can be incredibly picky when it comes to food. My husband jokes that our kids used to eat the beige diet. So, just literally macaroni and cheese, grilled cheese sandwiches, cheese pizza, French fries, maybe chicken nuggets. But it was a very limited diet, and they didn't really want to branch out from anything else. And, we slowly made some changes with their diet. And mostly it was because we just wanted to integrate what we considered healthier foods at the time and what probably, even dietitians and nutritionists would consider healthy foods at the time into their diet and get rid of some of that other garbage. The only intention was just to give them more variety, break them out of that shell, stop trying to make 2-3 different dinners a night, and bring something different to the life and get them to be open to new things. Because also, as you know, or if you don't know, autistic children can be very fixed mindset. So they are not fond of growth. They like routine. They like everything exactly the same way on their schedule, the way they want it, day in and day out. So if they get fixed on cheese pizza being their favorite food, they are plenty happy to have cheese pizza every single day. Well, the real world doesn't work that way, and catering to that is the worst thing that you could do for them. You're going to set them up for a huge, huge battle of disappointment in the real world in the future, because I don't know a single boss that I've ever been able to tell, hey, this is the schedule I'm going to work, and this is what I'm going to produce at work every day. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and you're going to pay me this. And the boss says, sure, no problem. It doesn't work that way. Anyway, I am a stay-at-home mom, so some things are a little bit easier for me, but I have been a working mom too. So I know that these things can be accomplished even if you are working or whether or not you're stay-at-home. I do want to give you a little disclaimer, and I bear with me because I'm newer to this, so there are going to be some things that I forget, but I'm working on it. I am not a dietitian. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a biologist. I'm not a specialist. I'm not a nutritionist. I am just a mom who wanted to change my children's lives by introducing a diet and seeing, hey, would it work? And guess what? It totally did. But I do know that those symptoms come back if we start eating those other foods again, because, again, trial and error. So you can take my advice, but I suggest you use your brain and you do some work and you do a lot of research about what I have to say. There's going to be lots of stuff out there and lots of conflicting stuff. So you really want to make sure you look where your research comes from. Who wrote that? If Big Pharma is telling you not to do that, well, I wouldn't trust anything they had to say. I would even be leery of some of the things your doctor says. My doctor still tells me when I'm not feeling good that I should go home and have some toast and lots of other things that I shouldn't eat. So anyway, just so we all know, I'm not a doctor. Okay, so here's what I'm going to tell you. So school's coming up and you want to be prepared for that. It's harder to do this on the fly. So when it comes to breakfast, I know you're like, well, I feed my kids. Maybe you feed them frozen waffles or toaster strudels or those little muffin bites. Maybe you feed them toast and cereal. Maybe you feed them a Nutri-Grain bar. There's all kinds of things that parents do. And when you're busy and on the go, you do what's easiest and what you feel good about when you're feeding your kids. And, one of the things I can tell you is now I've really thought about it. And I've done so much research into it. I can't believe that I ever fed any of my children cereal for breakfast before they went to school. There's nothing healthy. There's nothing nutritious about it. And you're just doping them up with a mass quantity of sugar before they go to school. When you say, well, wait a second, Janine, we do really healthy cereal. We do, oh geez, I can't even think of that. Kashi. We do kashi. We do Special K. We do shredded wheat with nothing on top. Yeah, you're right. That seems like it would be a really healthy cereal, but it's not, because it's pure grains, it's carbs. And what do those carbs turn into the minute they hit your system? They turn to sugar. So we dope our kids up with a bunch of sugar. We send them to school. And then around 10 or so, if your kids are young enough for this, which mine are going into fifth grade, going into third grade, but right towards the middle of second grade is when they start to sort of phase out the whole, snack thing. But for my fifth grader, they still do snacks in class because it's an enclosed special ed class. So some things are a little different than other fifth graders go through. But around 10 in the morning, they're going to have a snack. And what are they going to eat? Well, they're probably going to eat a little baggie of fruit snacks, or they're going to eat some grapes, or they're going to eat a bag of Doritos, which I think we all agree are not healthy for you. But you would think that grapes are, and you might think that fruit snacks are, especially because it says 100% fruit on the packaging. Or made with real fruit juice. The thing is that fruit is sugar. It turns to pure sugar in your body. For children with inflammation disorders like autism, like ADHD, anxiety, depression, arthritis, it goes on and on and on. Being inflamed is a terrible thing, and sugar feeds that inflammation, and your symptoms just stay the same, get worse, but they're never going to get better. So giving them even more sugar and then expecting them to sit still is ridiculous. Then you get into lunch. It's probably a whole nother topic as far as school lunches go and how that all works. But the USDA decides our food pyramid, and it's a bunch of garbage. It really is. And schools, daycares, hospitals, jails, and the military all have to follow the guidelines for the USDA, which is why my children take their lunch. They do not buy lunch there, but they used to, because I didn't know any different, and we did it for a long time. And while they say they've gotten healthier because they add the salad or they add this or they add that, they're still loaded with carbs, with sugar, and it's not good for you. But let's say your kids go to lunch and they're going to get out their peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and we'll even say you have made a lot of great choices because you decided to go with wheat bread. Okay, great. So they're eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich on wheat bread, and maybe they have a banana or some cut up strawberries, or they have some grapes. They got a little bag of chips, and because you're a mom or a dad and it just warms your heart, you just want your kid to be so happy because you love them so much, and you just know they're going to smile so much. When they see this little cookie in there, you threw a cookie into the bag. You're giving your kids so much sugar that it is amazing to me that any of them are able to even concentrate for the rest of their day. Peanut butter and jelly. So, okay, peanuts, that's a whole... Most of you are not using the all-natural peanut butter that has no sugar and no added salt. You're using Jif or Skippy or whatever brand it is. I used to use those. I totally get it. Your jelly, pure sugar. Plus, not only is the fruit pure sugar, but then they're adding more sugar into it because, hey, it tastes good that way. Then you're putting it on bread. Now, I got to tell you right now, those carbs turn to pure sugar. So even if it is wheat bread and it's loaded up with all the nuts and seeds and wheat you can handle, it's still not good for you, turns to sugar. Then they're going to have their apple or their banana or the grapes. More sugar. That sounds yummy, doesn't it? And then they're going to eat their bag of chips, carbs, which turn to sugar. And then they're going to eat their cookie because you're a good mom and you want your kid to be happy. They're going to eat their cookie, more sugar. And what do the kids rinse it all down with? Ooh, a juice box, a Capri Sun, a chocolate milk. Basically, your kids are eating nothing but sugar, and that's all they've had all day. Because for breakfast, they had their Nutri-Grain bar or their bowl of cereal, or they had their donut or their muffin, and you were rushing because you had to do that. And then they had their snack, which was probably some kind of fruit snacks in a bag, more sugar. Now they've had their lunch, which is more sugar. And if they're really little kids, like kindergarten and first grade, they'll probably get another snack between lunch and dinner when they're at school. And you're going to get chastised if you don't send this, by the way, or you're going to be subject to the teacher giving your kid whatever they have as extras for the kids who don't have anything. And that snack is probably going to be, again, sugar. Then they get home for dinner. And what are we going to be eating? Probably more sugar. Again, because even if it's not something that's high in sugar, if it's high in carbs, convert to sugar. So you've pretty much been doped up with junk all day. And chances are you yourself have too, because you're eating the same things. I was the same person who got that bagel with tons of cream cheese. Oh God, everybody loves that everything bagel, right? And I got my coffee because couldn't live without it. I was so tired, just tired all the time. Anyway, so I'm going to tell you what you can switch for your kids so you can give them a different meal. And one of these days, before school starts, I'm going to make a video and I'm going to pack a lunch for them and I'm going to make a breakfast for them so you can see exactly how I do it. This is what my kids drink. They drink bulletproof coffee in the morning. It's got MCT oil, grass-fed butter, and I usually do an unsweetened almond milk for them. Now listen, parents, I'm going to tell you this right now. When it comes to almond milk, when it comes to all these things, you need to take one step at a time. There is so much information out there. There are so many food Nazis that are going to scream and yell at you. Every meat has to be grass-fed and it has to be responsible. Everything has to be organic. Everything has to have no gums in it. I get all that. And those things are important, but one thing at a time. Right now, we're just trying to change your kids' diet so that it's a healthy diet. If you feel down the road that you need to switch from non-organic to organic, freaking do it. But not everybody's budget gets there. And they're still eating better in the non-organic with the new stuff than they were before. So it's okay. Don't beat yourself up and don't freak out about it. Right now you're feeding them garbage and you love them, so you don't want to give them that. So any step that you make towards healthy is good. Don't beat yourself up. So, all right, unsweetened almond milk, MCT oil, grass-fed butter, and 8 to 10 ounces. I do 8 ounces for my kids of brewed coffee. Now, for some of you, you're thinking my kids are not going to like coffee. They might like coffee. You never know. I also squeeze a couple of drops of stevia into it too. So it gives a little, but my kids will drink it without that. It's an acquired taste, but my kids love bulletproof coffee. You can also do bulletproof tea, and you could even do bulletproof hot chocolate. But if you're going to do bulletproof hot chocolate, I would suggest that you make that hot chocolate yourself from scratch using cocoa and unsweet almond milk, and then whatever flavoring there is. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and link a recipe for that in the description for the video because I bet your kids would love that. They think they're getting something really yummy. It's foamy. It's delicious, and it is yummy, but it's also very healthy for them. The reason why I do that is because our bodies need fat. They need a lot of fat. They need more fat than they need protein, and they need a lot more fat than they need carbs. And to be honest with you, we don't need carbs at all. There's no such thing as a needed carb. Anyway, so you need fat and you need protein. You need healthy stuff. Our brains need fat, especially our children's with their growing brains and their growing bodies. They need that fat. MCT is a bulletproof coffee with MCT and grass-fed butter is a really, really great way to sneak those fats in for your kids. It also will fill them up and they're going to feel nice and full and they're going to be ready to take on the day. Now, my boys, a lot of times, if we're rushing, we just do that, the bulletproof coffee. There is more than enough calories and nutrition in there to keep them tied over till either their snack or until, which by the way, my kids don't have snack anymore and they're okay with that, or until they have their lunch. So you're totally okay to do that. However, when you're first starting, your kids are probably going to be like, what the heck are you doing to me? Where's my freaking breakfast? Okay, if you have the time, make them some bacon. Bacon is delicious. Or make them some sausage. Sausage and bacon, and let's go with half of an avocado and maybe a handful of some good nuts. Now, I'm not talking about peanuts. I'm talking about actual nuts. Do some almonds, maybe some walnuts, pistachios, pecans, something like that. That would be a great breakfast starter. You can also do, eggs if you want to, if you have time. But when we are really pressed for time in the morning, especially when the school year starts and you're like just trying to get back into the groove of everything, half of an avocado and a bulletproof coffee. Boom, there's breakfast. All the fats, all the nutrition they need. When it comes to a snack, I will pack things like a little baggie of nuts, or I will pack some celery sticks. If you can have dairy, put some cream cheese on that. It works really well. If you can't, put some almond butter on it. Also works really well. Or I'll pack some carrot sticks. But we try to, because we do keto mostly, we try to kind of keep it low on the carbs. But they're kids, so if they are eating 50 carbs a day, that's okay. It's not going to bother them. For me, I can't. I eat 0 carbs. Anyway, then we go on to lunch. So for my kids, I rotate a few different ideas. We either do like a chef salad, or I do half an avocado and some, some kind of a lunch meat. And then I do some nuts in there, and I also throw in some carrot sticks or some celery sticks. I do a hard-boiled egg. I do lots of different things like that. I pack my kids' lunch the night before. Do yourself a favor and do that. It makes your life so much easier. At Sam's Club, they sold this really great lunch box that had like plastic containers inside. There was one that was about this size and one that was about this size. It's freaking perfect. It fits everything in there perfectly. The school cafeteria has, forks, so I don't even worry about that. I bought them a thermos. Sometimes I send them soup. Great tip, by the way. I heard this maybe a year ago. If you're going to send something in the thermos, boil some water, pour it in the thermos, and let it sit for 12 minutes. Then dump it out and put in the heated soup into there. It'll stay warm till they have lunch. My kids said it stays warm every time. So we also do leftover soup. And then for afternoon snack, again, I'm going to say the same thing. They don't really need that afternoon snack. But if your school's going to be pushy, some nuts, some celery stick, some carrots, okay? Try to stay away from the fruit. It's just sugar. Then we get to dinner time. For my kids, they'll eat anything I give them, but they didn't used to. So, I had to play around with a lot of things, and we had to we earned rewards for eating until we got into the habit of things. I don't think they really understood why I set a timer for 30 minutes or 45 minutes to get them to eat. It was all in the hopes of getting them to just get used to it and to eat their food. They thought they were just earning rewards like television or dessert if we had it back then, but really they were earning the joy of loving what they were eating. So what I would suggest would be this. I would do some kind of a meat. We eat a lot of beef because it's got a lot of fat in it. If you're going to eat chicken, not everybody. I love the breast meat. So I add extra fat to my diet somehow during the day because there's like none in that. It's very lean. When I buy meat from the store, I buy 85-15 or 80-20. We eat ribeye steaks. I know you're saying, oh my gosh, ribeyes are so expensive. You're right, they are. But for me, one 12-ounce ribeye is 2 meals, and I only eat 2 meals a day. So if you bought a 3-pack for like $24, then you're talking about $8 a day to feed you. That's really inexpensive, but that's for me. Anyway, so I do what we call poor man's steak, which would be hamburger patties. If you can have them, you could put some sauteed onions on top of them. We do cauliflower rice that I add butter and seasoning to. You can do some, mixed veggies. You can, for me, the kids love spaghetti squash. So I'll make my spaghetti sauce and bake the spaghetti squash and then feed that. And a lot of these things, if you are a working parent, if you fix them the night before when you get home, then dinner's ready for the next night. So yeah, you may be doing that, but you already have dinner ready. It makes life so much easier. So as soon as my kids go to bed, 8 o'clock, at 7:30, 8:30, I'm in the kitchen getting things ready. When I was a working mom to get them ready, it was the best thing to know when you got home, dinner was ready. And then you could focus on doing something else. But you could totally bake that spaghetti squash the day before. And you could make your sauce before. I do. I make a big batch of mine. I put it in mason jars and then I freeze them. Let's see, spaghetti squash, spaghetti. You could even, if you can have dairy, which we have some, but we try to be really careful with dairy because it causes inflammation. And for our son with autism, that too much dairy causes too many neurological dysfunctions, and he can't do it. So I do a little bit at a time. And for me, I don't handle it well either. I love cheese, but I'm trying to be very careful with it. So you could do the spaghetti squash, you can do a hamburger steak, you could do tacos, and you could do them on a lettuce boat instead, because you want to stay away from taco shells. Let's see, what else can you do? I'm saying all these things. Last night I made chili. I made low-carb chili, and it was delicious, and the boys loved it. And I made a dinner roll that was keto, and it was kind of like a fathead roll, kind of, but It also called for flaxseed. My husband said you wouldn't know that it had cheese in it. He said it was just like a regular dinner roll. He loved it. Anyway, so there's lots of different ideas for where to start with your kids. It's just, sit down and think about it. Go through Pinterest. Pinterest has a ton of low carb ideas to feed your kids, to feed your family. I will tell you, try to stay away from the dessert aspect of it. That is where I got caught up really badly. Every time I'd go on there and put in keto or low carb, all these desserts would pop up. And for me, they were triggers. And I just couldn't handle it. And I was getting too many carbs because, you can make chocolate chip keto cookies, but you think you're going to want to eat one little cookie. You're not. You're not going to want to eat that. You're going to want to eat like 6 of them, and you've blown over your carbs for the day. So for me, sweets really triggers it. So I've got to be very careful, and I stay away from that. So every once in a while, I do bake those things for my kids, and I'll sneak a cookie in their lunch, and it's a keto cookie. So I feel good about it. It's made with stevia. And my kids just think it's like the clouds parted and the sun is shining and rainbows and sprinkles are coming down out of the sky for them because there was a cookie in there. They just love that. And that's really what treats are supposed to be. They're supposed to be a treat. And when your diet is full of sugar all day, every day, sugar is no longer a treat. That is a staple. Might as well be on the food pyramid because that's what you're eating all the time. Anyway, so if you have any questions, please, please, please feel free to make comments. You can always, my email is located in my bio. You can always email me. You can find me on Instagram at Sassy Spoon Goddess. You can also you can follow me on my Facebook page, Janine Elise Cooper. Anyway, I appreciate everything. Like I said before, if you really like this video, please hit subscribe and also the notifications so that you can get more videos when I put them out. I'll try to get one out once a week or maybe more. Who knows? I have a lot to say. Anyway, thanks so much. Bye.